On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We've got a decent amount to cover today. Certainly the shutdown is still happening, expected to last a week or longer. We don't know. We'll see. Unexpected to end this week. Thursday they're going to be off for Yom Kippur, and Friday, unlikely that vote would pass. So they're thinking maybe next week. We'll see. A lot of funny shenanigans are happening. Democrats are trying to strike back with the whole sombrero thing. That's not going well. They also did a live stream regarding the shutdown. Also not going so well. And we've got a huge, huge possibility that Putin may very well be reaching out to try to put an end to this war. We're going to see, because Zelensky keeps saying no. He keeps refusing, but I think Trump is ultimately going to be able to sidearm or strong arm, would be a better way to put it, Zelensky into capitulation. And I think Russia's taken some additional land, so for them to be able to say, well, that's our buffer zone, we're happy to give that back, so there's a lot of things to be going on or talked about. Want to make four call-outs really quick. Today, hopefully, is going to be a slightly shorter show. We'll see. First off, I've got my Law of One today. We're going to be repeating the one we did last week. So that's going to be fun. Got some really good stuff going on there. So I hope you guys join us 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We will be doing that show live. You can watch it afterwards. It's sessions, I believe, 51 and 52. I think that's true. Also, live show tomorrow for the music, Friday. Oh, I got a bitchin' ass music show tomorrow. It is going to be probably one of my favorite music shows. It is just going back to my roots, my classic rock days, my classic rock that really rocks. We've definitely got an awesome classic rock show put together. Initially, it was inspired by Black Betty, and actually just became a bitchin' ass classic rock. So we're going to showcase it as classic rock, so hopefully you guys will join us for that. Now, 2 other things. One, I want to give a quick call out, or not that he'll hear it, but just after everything that's played out, after some additional information that I've kind of recently come across, just wanted to give John Harold a big call out. The dude nailed it. I had him on my show a couple times way back when, way before he was the most most enormous person ever. But John did a really, really good job with the continuity of government work that he did. And I just wanted to give the guy a huge call up because as it played out, it certainly looks like Donald Trump definitely maintained his commander-in-chief role through the 46th presidency. A lot of people talk about the 45-47. Well, if you think about how you would represent a continuation of numbers, 1 through 17, right? You would do 1-17. Well, 45-47 has similar implications. Also, just a funny little thought I had today. You know, the whole thing we keep hearing, follow the pen, right? Catherine Hare just kind of taking ownership of that. What if that's the auto pen? I don't know. Just hit me, and I was like, oh, that's almost funny. Needless to say, let's get this ball rolling here, folks, and thank you for putting up with all my announcements. That's a little more than normal. Just a reminder, Netflix, they've had a bad couple days. Hopefully you don't still have your Netflix account. If you do, I don't know, it's up to you. But sometimes we, I think, need to put our money where our mouth is. Sometimes it hurts a little. It's a little annoying. Sometimes somebody might complain at home. Whatever the case is, these guys are putting some very perverted shows on their channel, and they should be, I think, punished for it, frankly, especially stuff that's geared and marketed towards kids. Anna Paulina Luna put this out. Yeah, when you try to groom kids, here's what happens. So, yeah, they've had a bad couple days, to say the least. Also having a bad couple days, Delta. 2 Delta jets collided at slow speed at LaGuardia Airport. Oops, that's not good. Especially when it's 2 Delta planes. So they just took 2 of their planes that looks like one of their little expresses job. Oh, man, it even smashed up the front window. Damn. Boy, that got all jacked up. Actually looks like something hit him, huh? Oh, yeah, and you got the wing over here. Yeah, he got just rocked. Oh, boy, that's going to be an expensive mistake. I'm sure somebody's going to be losing their job. Joe Rogan put this out, and he's a little pissed off at the way the media is rushing to defend Jimmy Kimmel while all this stuff that's going on in UK with free speech is just being ignored. Why is that? Why is that? So strange.
Particularly when you think about the UK, which has had more than 12,000 arrests for very mild social media posts.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, I can't believe it. I've been watching this stuff play out.
Fascinating, and the fact that our mainstream media is relatively silent on this is insane. You're seeing a complete, total attack on one of the most fundamental principles of the Western world, which is your ability to express yourself. And your ability to call out that you think that the policies that are being implemented in your country are destructive. That's people have always been able to do that. These people are not calling for violence. They're being arrested for wild things. People are being arrested for liking posts. They're being some people were investigated for viewing posts. 12,000 people arrested by the police in the UK, the same place that just implemented digital ID. I mean, this is an Orwell nightmare coming to life right in front of our face, and no one's flinching. No one in America is freaking out about what's happening in the UK at all. I mean, you get people online that are kind of freaked out by it, but they're way more freaked out by nonsensical things like whether or not what Jimmy Kimmel said in his monologue was offensive. They'll go to the ends of the earth to fight that.
Yeah, it's such a double standard, again, which is what the left is famous for, right? Double standards. They only care when it furthers their goals. They don't really actually care about what they're talking about. They don't actually care about us in any way, shape, or form. They care about holding on to power. Same thing that's happening in England, by the way. They want to hold on to power. And this conservative movement that's grabbing the entire world is destroying the deep states. They can't have it. So the places where they can, they're going to shut down free speech. Now, we're well aware, and I might have the video up, but Hillary Clinton was directly involved with that. I'm pretty sure I actually do have that. Hillary Clinton was directly involved. As soon as Musk bought Twitter, she reached out to Europe with their digital act or whatever that thing's called, and tried to get them to start censoring Twitter, since obviously that wasn't going to happen through Dorsey any longer. Now, one of the many things that are going on with the shutdown, freight is expected to continue to roll on during the shutdown. I thought these were private companies that moved the freight, but maybe they're talking about the ports or something. Even again, those are unionized jobs. I don't know who these employees belong to necessarily, but at least the Department of Transportation is going to continue to work, and we're going to continue to have freight coming in and out, which we couldn't stop having. That would be almost impossible. Message in private group will only, what is this all about? Oh, strange. That was very strange. Anyway, here is Carolyn Levitt talking about the insanity of the shutdown and how they keep trying to spin it like this. Well, these aren't really illegals that they're talking about. Yeah, they are. It's exactly what they're talking about. And Carolyn Levitt does a beautiful job.
Undocumented immigrants, even though it's against the law for them to get these benefits. I know there's some debate about law-free presence.
Do you think that illegal aliens should receive Medicaid benefits? Medicaid benefits that go to the most vulnerable people.
I didn't ask about benefits, and that's a debate.
Medicaid benefits that were designed to help low-income families and Americans in our country.
But they can't receive them.
So what the Biden administration did, Gabe, is they allowed tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world
parole and temporary
to come
protected
into our
status.
country, yes, and they paroled them into the system. And you cover immigration, and you know well, it was a complete abuse of our immigration system.
But my question
and they
isn't...
slapped a Band-Aid on these illegals. They called it temporary protective status, and then they allowed those illegals from all over the world to get free benefits. And you know who would like free benefits?
I understand that point,
Hardworking Americans who work their butts off every day, who are living paycheck to paycheck because of the Biden-induced inflation crisis. And there were higher wait times at hospitals under the Biden administration. We saw these illegals committing crimes all over our country, and they're getting things for free. That is fundamentally unfair, and this administration
But for the ER...
Yeah, no, and none of us are taking any of the nonsense that the deep state keeps trying to feed to us. And the media's, they're doing what the media does. Again, a lot of people are so shocked. I can't believe they're not telling the truth. Why would they? They're not. That's not what they're there for. They never have been. You just were asleep for most of your life and thought they told you the truth. They never have been there to tell the truth. Never. That was never their intention. We just finally woke up. They've been doing this shit to us as long as I've been awake. It's best I can tell is, I don't know, I think my whole life. I can't really think of a time where I suddenly was like, I mean, for me, it started more like early on, I learned that I was kind of different than people. I could tell when people were lying. I could tell there was a lot of bullshit. Like, I don't know. I could read through people really well. I was very, very, I've always been an empath, and I've been able to, discern stuff like that at an early age. So right off the bat, I was like, everyone lies. What is going on? And then from there, it was more an issue of just starting to understand that the system has been lying to me. That, again, I didn't know any better. So it took different acts. And I want to say, and maybe you could call this awakening, but I think it was just when I finally realized, I'm like, oh, crap. But for me, it was when the JFK movie came out. And I went and saw that movie, and I'm like, oh, my God, they are so lying to us. And then from there, it was just almost everything they ever said. I started questioning. I started questioning religion. I started questioning government. I started questioning my parents. I started questioning everything. Anybody that believed something just because of what they were supposed to believe, I questioned. frankly, it was one of the smartest things I ever did. So whether that was awakening or whether that was just me finally realizing everyone's lying to us, holy shit, which I think is more what it was, right? Again, we're in weird times, and us waking up whenever we have, it was the perfect time. Your higher self is really guiding this, and God's certainly a big part of this, all this stuff. Donald Trump truth. I have a meeting today with Russ Vought. He is he of Project 2025 fame to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America great again. President DJT. See, here's the thing. He trapped them so hard. And even Johnson's called it straight to their face that you guys fell into the trap. I'm kind of surprised. It was not a good idea. Yet here we are, right? Here we are. Carolyn Levitt once again on Fox talking about all of this and how, him and Russ Vought talked. And here's some of what here's some of what's leaking out. Here's what's being told to us.
Fix this problem. And look, we have $0 coming into the federal government right now because the Democrats shut it down. So what Russ Vought is working diligently on is examining how we can fix this mess to ensure that critical funding continues, that we can get people paid. But the Democrats are making that very difficult. And that's why the president put out a statement this morning saying that we're going to start looking across the board at layoffs and at agencies that we feel do not best serve the American taxpayer that may need to be halted or permanently cut.
So on that, I wanted to ask you about that because he mentioned Russ Vought in that. I think that came out about 8 o'clock this morning about cutting certain programs that they deem are not necessary. Is that real or is that a negotiating tactic?
Oh, it's very real. And the Democrats should know that they put the White House and the president in this position. And if they don't want further harm on their constituents back home, then they need to reopen the government. It's very simple. Pass the clean continuing resolution, and all of this goes away. We would not be having these discussions here at the White House today if not for the Democrats voting to shut the government down. This is an unfortunate consequence, and the president and Russ Vought will be meeting on that later today.
The Democrats are getting annihilated on this. They just so fucked up. I mean, this was such a huge mistake, and the sooner they can undo it, the better. But the problem is one, they're going to piss off the progressive base no matter what. So they have to drag it out for a little while, but every day they drag it out, they're pissing off the moderate Democrats more and more and more. This is destroying the Democrat Party. Politico, Trump plans to block funding to groups that promote diversity policies abroad. Yeah, damn straight. Any place that we're sending money right now, that's going to stop government shutdown. Yeah, look, here's the thing. We're not going to send that money out either. We'll start clawing back all sorts of funds, keep a bunch of it here, because anything that's going to other countries to help with DEI and other nonsense like that, that's not what we're about. That's not about making America great again, right? Dems are mocked after the government shutdown live stream. Well, it got a max of 400 viewers live at any given time. It's the party of 18% approval and sinking. And literally, they did a 24-hour stream from 2 p.m. Tuesday to 2 p.m. Wednesday. House Democrats took turns trying to blame Republicans for the partial government shutdown, which began at 12 a.m. Wednesday. Just 400 people are watching, and they're currently trying different types of candy. I want to thank so many of you who are tuning in today. The National Republican Congressional Committee War Room Director Ben Peterson chided Tuesday afternoon, hours before the shutdown took effect. Also, chat was disabled as well. So this live stream just did crap views. Nobody cares. Senate erupts into laughter as Schumer calls the New York Times poll blaming Democrats for the shutdown biased. It's a New York Times post. Let's play it. I haven't actually listened to this yet.
Now, I know the leader is going to show a poll that says that Democrats will be blamed for the shutdown. There are many more polls that show Republicans are blamed. The question in that poll is biased. Biased. In the New York Times, but it's biased. If you turn the... That's true. I don't always believe the New York Times. You can be sure of that. Neither do you. Okay.
Wow, because that's a fully hardcore biased left-leaning rag. And it's from his city. New York Post is the one we sort of generally believe, which kind of is a rag too, but at least it's right-leaning or center-ish. They got so much crap in there. I look at it every day. I find usually a few posts that are worth, I found one today, but there's like, that's where all the entertainment, sports, all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, it's good stuff, but it's just not generally what I use in my show. Democrats seek healthcare funds to help migrants not self-deport. Yeah, they were wanting to use healthcare funds for Americans to help migrants not self-deport. This is just retarded. They want to restart a pipeline of $20 billion in government healthcare aid per year to help migrants who face rising economic pressure to self-deport. No, stay here. We still want your vote. This is insane. Speaker Johnson tells Jeffries to just ignore these Trump sombrero memes. This is just a sideshow, he says. These are games. These are sideshows. People are getting caught up in battles over social media memes. This is not a game. We've got to keep the government open for the people. I don't know why this is so complicated. And to my friend Hakeem, who I have asked about, man, just ignore it. And then, of course, Gavin Newsom's little press guy that supposedly got some skills who, no offense, bro, you're waning hard. This is the best you got? This is the best you got? So they're making fun of the sombrero video, and they're getting even with us. Gavin Newsom's going to show you how it's done. Hope you're ready, because here it is, Freddie.
If you're flying today, I hope, of course, you arrive safely and on time, but you may not arrive on time because the TSA and the air traffic controllers are not getting paid today. Our military is not getting paid today, starting today, and obviously the longer this drags on, the worse that it is for the American people. If you're
That's just not even good. Not even close to good. In fact, one could say stupid. And I make fun of Vance all you want. In fact, I bet you money J.D. Vance is going to laugh about it. But it's just bad. It's not even good. Whatever the case is. Trump, the White House, is now playing the Hakeem Jeffries sombrero meme on loop in the briefing room. Yeah, anybody just hanging in there, this is what they're going to be seeing. Looped over and over. Just pissing them off further. And to take it one step further, Team Trump, make America great again. Donate and we'll send you this sombrero to Chuck Schumer. Send it now. We're looking for 47 Patriots to chip in. Then we'll ship the sombrero to Chuck Schumer. He'll love it. Send this sombrero to Chuck Schumer. $25 stand with Trump or whatever the hell the one is underneath it. News at 11. I don't know why I was using that voice, but it was fun. Yeah. So the White House put this out again. Everyday Democrats keep the government shush. That's not what I wanted to do. So everyday Democrats keep the government shut down. The sombrero gets 10 times bigger. Democrats shut down. Trademark. I wonder if it's actually been trademarked. That's pretty funny. That's extra funny. So, yeah, of course, we're having a lot of fun with this. Democrat Rep. Frost. This is hilarious to me because I feel like this is their attempt at tricking us into ending the shutdown. And it's just stupid. This is actually juvenile, stupid. It's not even, there's no skill behind it, and it's not going to work, obviously. But they say GOP can just change rules to break Dems filibustering. Yeah, while the government shut down, they could technically get rid of the filibuster. Thune's not going to do that. There's no way he's going to do that. Filibuster saved both sides numerous times. Getting rid of the filibuster, whoever gets rid of the filibuster will be forever busted. That's how that'll play out. So that ain't happening. Lawmakers expect the shutdown to drag on for a week, they say, like I was saying earlier. They don't expect it to happen. Today is Yom Kippur. Tomorrow, Friday, is the last of the week. Most likely the vote's not going to pass through. To my understanding, what do we need? 5 more? I think we need 5 more Democrats to come on board. And if we can get those 5 Democrats to come on board, then what we've got is enough people to pass the CR. That's all they're trying to do. Pass the CR, that's only going to get us to November. And we need more time to work on it. That's why Johnson's like, we need to buy some time. We need to put together a bipartisan bill. Both sides can have their thing. We need to debate it. We need to get rid of what we can get rid of, what's going to stay, what's not, right? Make our agreements, shake across party lines. Well, here's the thing. When government shut down, they can't work on it. And if they can't work on it, it ain't going to get any better. I mean, I guess they can get together and vote and stuff like that, but they're not going to be able to work on furthering things at all. In fact, it was funny. Charlie Kirk put a post out, not recently, obviously, but he put a post out where he's like, well, I don't think members of Congress should get paid during shutdowns. What do you think? And it's like, yeah, what do you guys think? Put that in the comments. What do you think? Do you think they should get paid while the shutdown happens? Now, again, they can vote to give themselves raises, so shouldn't surprise anyone. Donald Trump truthed this out. Republicans must use this opportunity of Democrat forced closure to clear out dead wood, waste, and fraud. Billions of dollars can be saved. Make America great again. And this is truly our best opportunity to do exactly that. Now, interestingly, today, stocks are up a teeny bit. Again, they don't give a crap about the stock market. But odds are, it's weird. Gold and silver. Silver took a huge crap today. Huge crap. $1.70 it's gone down. Oh, it's at 90 cents now. It was down $1.70 at one point. Huge dip. I don't know why. It looks like it's coming back up. Again, they're probably trying to do this because they're freaking out. Silver's going up way too fast for them right now. Gold's already super high. It's going to break 39 any second. These are also psychological numbers. So again, silver is out of control. There has been an attempt to drop the price. I really would love to know what happened at essentially 11 a.m. Eastern time, because something happened and, they either sold a bunch of paper contracts or something weird, but the value of silver went way down. It's not like the dollar got stronger for an hour. No. So whatever. We'll see. Again, best buy that's out there, guys. And all it does is it protects your wealth. This isn't something you do to get rich, okay? If a normal economy is happening, you would never pump in a bunch of money into gold and silver. You're not going to make money on it. What it does is it protects your money while the Federal Reserve note inflates to nothing, or deflates to, inflates to nothing. Your buying power is disappearing with the Federal Reserve note. That's what's happening. And so gold and silver protect during financial crisis. During times where the dollar's at risk, precious metals protect. Now, we understand, and this is likely going to happen, but nobody knows for sure, but we understand Jackson was one of Trump's favorite presidents. He was the last one to kick out the Fed. The Fed is going away. The Fed cannot stay. There is no way we have a future where the Federal Reserve or the central banks are still in power. There's zero chance of a real future with that happening. So it's got to collapse. Has to. Now, the best way to do this is to slowly let the air out of the bubble if we can. And that gives us time and gives people time to kind of deal and move and do things. When you have quick movements, people lose a fortune overnight, and that's when people start jumping out of windows and stuff. We don't need that. We don't want that. The new currency is going to be backed by precious metals. Precious metals will back the new currency. In fact, some are suggesting that literally coins that are gold and silver will actually be the new currency. Now, there'll probably be a paper version of it, but this is what we're allowed to mint, coins. So coins are precious metals. They're going to be precious metals backed, which means if you've already got precious metals, you've already got the new money. And then you can transfer it into a tractor, home, down payment on a home, a car, whatever. It's going to hold your buying power that you currently have today, right now, or at least when they finally work your deal. You'll save your buying power of that moment. Whatever you've got on your 401k or your IRA, whatever money, Federal Reserve notes you've got relative to stock, because that's all it is. That number that you see, I've got $150,000 in there. I've got $500,000 in there. Yeah, it's $500,000 based off the stocks and the Federal Reserve note. That is losing buying power every day. You could stay at that $500,000 for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, but you're literally losing buying power every day because of inflation. This protects your buying power. This ounce of gold has been able to buy the same thing forever. It's held value. Again, if you're in a healthy economy, this is a shitty investment. Unhealthy economy, this is the smartest place you can put your money to protect yourself while we finish up business. Don't let them catch you. Don't let them steal your wealth any further than they already have. Get out of it. Get as much as you can into precious. And once we get to the new system, you're already halfway there. More than that, probably. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. You got a 401k or an IRA? Move out of it. Tax-free, penalty-free. You're literally getting physical metals. They're putting it into a trust. You're going to get up to 10% free silver. Basically, if you're up at $100,000 and you do this, you're going to get $10,000 of free silver just by letting my good friends at Goldco help you out. You're probably going to get a free collector's coin, Ronald Reagan, half-ounce silver coin, super cool, got Ronald Reagan's face on it. Pretty awesome. You're also going to get your gold and silver kit. You're going to learn how and why this protection works. Don't let them rip off your wealth. This is one of those places where you literally can take it and control it and protect it and make sure it's there for you tomorrow, next year, whenever. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Diversify. Keep putting money into your 401k if you want, especially if you're getting a match from your employer. Awesome. Diversify a crap ton of that out into precious metals. Protect what you can. Continue to pump in. That's fine. And then if anything happens, you're like, I only had 17 grand in there anyway. Whoops, biggie. All right, that 17 grand went down to 7 or 8 or 9 grand. No biggie, because I got it protected with my precious metals. drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of that nasty system before that nasty system gets out of you. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he actually made an attempt to try to get a judge to stay his motion to send him to another country, and the approach he went was pretty awesome. He did an emergency motion to reopen the case filed back in August. Abrego Garcia's attorney argued that because he was deported to El Salvador and then brought back to the U.S., he should now be eligible to apply for asylum within a year of his last entry into the U.S. But in the order filed on Wednesday, Regional Deputy Chief Immigration Judge Philip Taylor said that Abrego Garcia's motion to reopen his motion to seek asylum is untimely because the motion was filed nearly 6 years after his immigration proceedings, well beyond the 90-day deadline required. So sorry, Kilmar Abrego, but you will no longer kill anyone in this country. I know it's kind of harsh, but you beat up your wife. Certainly not a good guy. U.S. is suing 4 Oregon counties, alleging noncompliance with federal immigration enforcement, and also alleging they're not following their own law. This is pretty awesome. So they filed this lawsuit. The legal action claims these counties have ignored federal detainers since Oregon House Bill 3265 was enacted in September of 2021. So we're talking about Multnomah County, Washington County, Clackamas, and Marion. And a funny story with Clackamas. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, Clackamas County will always be something that makes me chuckle inside my head. But yes, Bill 3265 basically says if they arrest someone that's an illegal immigrant, they're supposed to let Customs and Immigration officers know, but they're not doing that. Why is that, I wonder? They're breaking their own laws. So not only are they breaking federal laws, but they're breaking state laws. This is, Oregon is finally being dealt with. Finally. And I like it, it's there. Chicago's definitely going to be tough. I think they might have gone to, I think they're in Chicago. Yeah, they actually are. They are in Chicago. We're not hearing as much about it. But Oregon, Portland specifically, is definitely, I think, the big test. If they can pull it off, well, they will pull it off here, but what they learned from this experience, I think, is going to be pretty impressive. There is expectations that they are going to expand the perimeter around the building to take over the entire parking lot. There's a whole slew of weird stuff that's going on with this, but all said, Portland Antifa is going to get ruined. And this is a big part of what's happening, folks. Literally, we're trying to drag them out into the streets. We're trying to. We want them pissed off. And they're very easy to trigger. Very easy to trigger. And once they're triggered, they can't help themselves. And once that happens, they're in harm's way. And we will take them down. No question about it. And the sad part is, they're not getting back out of jail anymore. They can't. Doesn't matter how good your lawyers are. You just did a federal crime. That's 10 years. If I have proof that you spit on someone, hit someone, anything, I don't care what your lawyer says, it's 10 years. Done. Too bad, so sad, you've committed the crime. Now again, I feel bad for the whole J6 thing, but at the same time, anyone that went inside the Capitol, I think fucked up. One thing to go on the property, because they took down all the fencing and stuff, like how would you know? I get that one. But going inside the building, it would have been tempting, unquestionably, but not a good idea. It's still illegal. It's still illegal. You're not allowed to go on federal property without permission, right? So again, I'm glad it worked out for the way it did. This has certainly been one of the stigmatas that we've had to hold on to and live with, right? It is what it is. I mean, This has been a tough number of years. Illegal alien caught targeting a CPP helicopter with a laser in Portland. This is pretty funny because it was one dude at a house or something. I love this stuff. And they think they can get away with it. These guys are just idiots. But they flashed the helicopter. Helicopter's aware of it. Obviously didn't blind them, but it can. They're extraordinarily dangerous. I'm assuming they've got better goggles and stuff. But in fact, I bought specific glasses when I used to think that we were going to have a hardcore breakdown of society. I actually got glasses that were anti-laser because I just figured that would be one of the things that they would use against us, right? So you just put those on, and they could fit over my normal glasses, and then I could sit out there all day long and just bow, you know. At least that was my fear at the time, right? So they were targeting it. CBP found it. They sent FBI agents to the location where this individual was. Come to find out, he was illegal, and 3 other people were in the same residence that were also illegal. Guess what? All 4 got rounded up. All 4 are going back home. Good. Thank you for using your laser beam. I want sharks with freaking laser beams on their foreheads. A patriot in Memphis just photobombed CNN. It's pretty funny. Check this out.
FBI, it's been an alphabet soup of law enforcement as we've seen them get ready and go out and make runs throughout the day. We know more than 50 arrests were made just last night, 20 guns taken off the street in the last 48 hours. You see people like this who behind me with this sign. He has it on both sides. If you can flip it around and show what he's saying, he's hoping that this action by Trump will help make this city safer. Take a listen to a man that we talked to in a neighborhood that basically says he welcomes the idea of this federal action.
Yeah, Democrats destroy everything they touch. Everything they touch. Like I've always said, they've got the poo touch, right? The poo touch. You know, the Midas touch turns everything to gold. The poo touch turns everything into poo. I don't know the better way to say that. I don't know if there is any sort of name of somebody that's constantly full of shit. If we can think of who that might be, then I'll call it that person's name. With the Jimmy Kimmel touch? Yeah, it almost works. Donald Trump truthed this out. As I determined on September 27th, when I activated and called into service the National Guard in Oregon, conditions continue to deteriorate into lawless mayhem. Our great federal law enforcement officers have not been able to enforce the laws in Oregon. Antifa and the radical left anarchists have been viciously attacking our federal law enforcement officers, men and women who are simply doing their job, protecting federal property and enforcing federal immigration laws and the rule of law. We will never allow mobs to take over our streets, burn our cities, or destroy America. The National Guard is now in place and has been dedicated to restoring law and order and ending the chaos, death, and destruction. We are a nation of law, and we will prevail. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President DJT. I always wonder what the difference is when it's President DJT versus Donald J. Trump, or President Donald J. Trump in capital letters. I mean, I know typically it's the company versus personal, but it seems strange. All said, we've got, what's this dude's name? Heritage Foundation guy talking about, this was the thing I was saying, how Hillary Clinton was trying to go to Europe and get them with their digital something or other act, Digital Service Act, to silence us Americans. Check it out.
Speech is in a free fall in Europe. There are 2 anti-free speech movements that have coalesced. One is in Europe, where it has laid waste to free speech. Germany, France, England. Free speech has been eviscerated. And also places like Canada. The U.S. anti-free speech movement began in higher education, then metastasized throughout the government. But this has all reached our shores now. The Berlin World Forum followed the remarks of Vice President Vance on free speech, and the EU was red hot. They gathered in Berlin, and it was the most anti-free speech gathering I've ever been part of. There's only 2 of us from the free speech community. And they are committed. And, Hillary Clinton was there, and she really fueled the anger. I mean, when Twitter was purchased by Elon Musk, she called on the EU to use the infamous Digital Services Act, which is one of the most anti-free speech pieces of legislation in decades. And she called upon the EU to use the DSA to force the censorship of American citizens, force people like Musk to censor. It's an extraordinary act by someone who was once a presidential candidate in the United States. But they are committed to it. And after the World Forum, they further globalized this effort, and they are threatening companies like X with ruinous fines unless they resume censoring American citizens.
Man, that just blows my mind, how they think they can censor Americans. Even if we're saying stuff about their people, it's like, this is an American platform. You want to block all your people from being able to use it, that's your choice. But But you can't silence Americans. That's absolutely not happening. Pam Bondi's talking about how the gloves are off now, and they are heavily going after people. Hopefully this is the case. There's a lot of difficult discussions happening around her, certainly. Also, Todd Blanche is failing heavily from what we understand. A lot of questions as to whether or not he's even going to make it through this week. Maybe next. We'll see. But Todd Blanche probably on his way out the door because he seems to be dragging his feet, taking care of stuff that he needs to be taken care of, unless it's a timing issue. We'll see what Trump chooses in the big picture. But there are some interesting people that are suggesting Blanche is out of there. And some people were trying to say similar stuff with Bondi. I don't know if he's going to get rid of Bondi yet, but we'll see. She seems to be busting her ass, and he definitely turned up the heat on her. It seems it's maybe worked. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, joining us now with reaction to Comey's indictment, the former FBI director, is our Attorney General. Pam Bondi is with us. I would imagine you're not allowed to get into the specifics of the case, so I won't waste your time asking you. However, when you looked at the magnitude of what Kash Patel is saying, a grand conspiracy that from the minute he came down the escalator with Melania, all the way through, Russia, 2 impeachments, all the way through the Hunter Biden laptop suppressed, all the way through weaponization. Pam, I'm nervous for the country when I put it all together.
You shouldn't be nervous any longer because Donald Trump is in office and the weaponization has ended. We've made that very clear. Whether you're a former FBI director, whether you're a former head of an intel community, whether you are a current state or local elected official, whether you're a billionaire funding organizations to try to keep Donald Trump out of office, everything is on the table. We will investigate you and we will end the weaponization. No longer will there be a 2-tier system of justice. And we are working hand in hand, Director Patel and I, Todd Blanche, with our incredible intel community, Tulsi Gabbard, John Radcliffe, going nonstop around the clock. People will be held accountable.
Okay, let me ask you about this. How is it possible? You were the Attorney General, in Florida, and you did a great job. You're now the Attorney General of our country. How does somebody like Letitia James, just one example, run on a platform that she's going to go after one man, one family, and one organization the way she did and target them the way she did? How is that possible? Alvin Bragg, same thing.
Well, they thought they got away with it because they thought they would defeat Donald Trump at the polls, and they didn't. He won by an overwhelming majority. He is in office now. We have made it crystal clear the weaponization of this country has ended. Everything is on the table. We are investigating all the weaponization, all the wrongdoing that has happened. We are issuing subpoenas. We are looking at things around this country. People have to be held accountable. No one, Sean, is above the law. No one is above the law, and you will be held accountable. And, a very liberal grand jury in one of the most liberal jurisdictions in the country just indicted James Comey. Now, we know, of course, we have to go to trial. We'll have a great trial team, and everyone, of course, is innocent until proven guilty. However, we are going to trial in this case, and this is just the beginning.
Pam, you're talking about a change in culture. I had 2 relatives that were in the FBI, and in my family, they were deity. We looked up to them, and one of them is still alive, and he served for many, many years, and he could not believe all that was happening under Comey, and he wasn't too fond of Director Wray either. Restoring these institutions, the DOJ, FBI, our intel community, to their former greatness. How do we get there?
Well, by what we've been doing, by continuing, we will investigate everyone who committed wrongdoing, working hand in hand with all of our current agencies. Director Patel is restoring integrity. There are so many great men and women in the FBI, in DEA, in ATF, in our marshals. We're working every day to keep America safe, to make these horrible cities with Memphis. We're going to make Memphis safe. We're there this week. Just this week, Sean, we took 500 pounds of pills off this street. We took 800 pounds of fentanyl off this street. Sinaloa cartel. We're doing that, but we're also going to hold those accountable who have committed the worst of weaponization. And that's on all fronts. So the people of this country will be safe in more than one way.
I just want the truth. I just want all of it to come out. It seems like we're getting there between Tulsi and Kash and you and Director Radcliffe. I think we're going to get there. Attorney General Pam Bondi, thank you. We appreciate you being with us.
Yeah, hopefully we do. And we friggin' should. That's for sure. Again, a lot of people are doubting that, but Jesus.
Mr. Vice.
Shut up. And yeah, we should be able to get there, but we will certainly see. Donald Trump truth this, and I've been kind of wondering this too, and I'm just glad I'm not alone in the thought process, and not that this makes me feel a whole lot better, but it kind of does, I guess. It's kind of like when we were going through the, well, I thought it was the dark night of the soul, but I still feel like that's coming before us, but what we went through with Biden, whatever the hell that was. Donald Trump truth this out. It's his best thing that could have happened to the Republican Party? A communist mayor in New York City The Dems have gone stone cold crazy. So, yeah, President Trump was talking about this Fox News video. I don't know, was he on Fox News, or is this just about him? Oh, it's 8 minutes long, so we're not playing that. That's for sure. All said. Trump administration is putting $18 billion in New York City infrastructure projects on hold due to the shutdown. We sort of talked about this yesterday, but I just thought it was fun to bring up again because that's just one more place where New York's getting screwed. New York's getting screwed. California's getting screwed. Oregon's getting screwed. Washington's getting screwed. Illinois is getting screwed. New Jersey's getting screwed. Got a number of states right now that are getting screwed. Sort of fun to watch. Black Lives Matter, they're suing the Soros-backed Tides Foundation, the one that the Obama Library is actually giving money to. Yeah, millions of dollars they've been giving to the Tides Foundation, who then donates money to the anti-Israel or the pro-Palestinian causes and everything under those suns, right? So now we've got Black Lives Matter suing the Tides Foundation because I guess there was $33 million that they didn't get. Someone either wants to buy a few more mansions, or maybe they got a house payment due on the existing mansions that they've already illegally stolen money for. I don't know if this is the same lady. I doubt it. I just know they had like two different administrators that both got busted for buying homes with Black Lives Matter money, which I think is interesting. So here they are crying. They want more money. Again, Tides Foundation's messed up. BLM's messed up. So I frankly hope neither one of them gets any money. This was kind of interesting. Justice Clarence Thomas explained that he respects precedent, especially when it lines with the law. Now, I'm going to play this first, and then I'm actually going to let you know what Plessy v. Ferguson is, because you're going to be like, huh? And they didn't explain it at all, but it'll make more sense in a second. And when you think about the way the world's playing out, again, this will make more sense in a second. Just listen to what he's talking about. And then when you take into account where we are and what's happening, this is going to be a very interesting example of what he's talking about.
I don't think that I have the gospel, and I don't think that any of these cases that have been decided are the gospel. And I do give respect to precedent, but the precedent should be respectful of our legal tradition and our country and our laws, and be based on something, not just something that somebody dreamt up and others went along with. You've got. Let's just take, for example, I think, do you think that Plessy was right? That was a precedent for almost 7 decades?
Right.
Or do you think you should have just followed it because it was already decided? Or do you think it somehow violates, it's so wrong that it needs to go? I don't.
It's so wrong that it needs to go. Now, what is he talking about? And this is beautiful. So Plessy v. Ferguson. It's a 163 U.S. 537 was a landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision ruling that racial segregation laws did not violate the U.S. Constitution as long as the facilities for each race were equal in quality, a doctrine that came to be known as separate but equal. The decision legitimized the many Jim Crow laws reestablishing racial segregation that had been passed in the American South after the end of the Reconstruction era in 1877. The underlying case began in 1892 when Homer Plessy, a mixed-race man, deliberately boarded a whites-only train car in New Orleans. And again, they had to have equally and nice stuff. Well, we've got the opposite kind of happening now, and are the equal and opposite nice stuff being offered back to white people and to other people of race? I mean, if it's only going to be what people of color, except Asians, you don't count, because yellow is not quite dark enough color for them. So they get lumped into the other category of smart people, whites, which is fantastic. Whites and Asians have a lot in common. And it's funny, when you talk about Caucasian, it's got Asian baked right into it. Kind of funny. All said, this is that Plessy v. Ferguson. So that's an interesting case. We'll see. It's those types of things that we can't just assume are still accurate. This is definitely segregation. And that's what we were trying to end back during the Civil War. So this is a case that shouldn't have gone the way it did. The Supreme Court erred, is basically what our Justice Clarence Thomas was suggesting. I wanted to call him Kavanaugh. I knew that wasn't right. Judge rejects racial gerrymandering claims in North Carolina Senate maps. They rejected the claims that voters in 2 North Carolina legislative districts were the victims of racial gerrymandering. U.S. District Judge James Dever ruled on September 30th that Republicans did not illegally manipulate the boundaries of the two northeastern state districts to favor candidates. The case stemmed from a suit against the GOP legislative leaders brought by two plaintiffs, one of whom is now a Democratic state House member. The pair claimed that the state Senate districts, as approved by the General Assembly, were illegal. Needless to say, the judge is like, no, not true. Ain't happening. I want to bring this up. It's a sort of a good and bad thing, I guess. Well, it's a good thing for the most part. We're seeing a lot change and happen. I don't know. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I'm curious if it still works for the moment. That's the only reason I'm trying what I'm trying. Truth. It's not even in there anymore. How funny is that? I don't even know if it exists. Might not. Yeah, it doesn't look like it does. I was just curious if it did. So this is really a commercial for the small group, the inner circle at best. Outer circle, I'd like to see if some of you guys are maybe at a point in your lives where you can help out. There is an individual that is was doing my merch, still kind of doing my merch. She has come on major hard times, going through a lot of personal stuff. And she's having issues, I mean, just putting food on the table at this point in time. She's literally sitting on a bunch of merch, And so what we're trying to do is get people to buy some merch. It's going to help Free out. All you guys know who Free is. If you don't know who Free is, you know. But this is an opportunity to still get the merch we've got. We've got a lot of the merch going on. You want to use the email. It's no longer the way it used to be. Again, just a lot of drama going on. And again, we got two kids and a lovely lady, Free, who they need help. They need help badly. And this is an easy way to try to do something that helps them and does more. Now, again, for the inner circle, if you guys just want to donate some money to her, feel free. Reach out on the Fringe, DRS, Truth, Threads at gmail.com. It's on the screen. On the Fringe, DRS, Truth, Threads at gmail.com. On the Fringe, DRS, Truth, Threads at gmail.com. Got hats for $40, tumblers for $39. We've got the shirts that are going to be in there. She kind of spelled hoodies wrong. I sort of let her know that. And she even sent me an email where she spelled it wrong, so I'm under the impression she thinks hoodies are spelled hotties. I don't know. When it's put on that chick, it's a hottie. That's for sure. Baseball shirts, $40. This video is way too slow. I'm going to have to do something about this. Here's your hotties. You can get a hottie for $49. T-shirts, $37. Long sleeves, $46. Women's tanks, $35. Again, on the Fringe, DRS, Truth, Threads at gmail.com. Just let them know what you want. She'll get back to you the price just to make sure you got it, the sizes, all that stuff. Just make sure. She'll probably need to get your address so she can send it to you. Probably be no tax because that's not happening anymore at the moment. So again, if you guys could help out someone within the Fringer community, I would be very appreciated. So again, on the Fringe, DRS, Truth, Threads at gmail.com. And I appreciate any of you guys that can make an effort to help out this young lady. Appreciate that. Pediatric neurologist Dr. Richard Fry says it's been known for more than 10 years that generic drug leucovorin could be a treatment for autism. Let's play this because
how it works.
I don't think a lot of people realize that, especially there's a lot of people with autistic children. I'm sure many people in my audience have autistic children. Leucovorin is something that has shown great promise. In fact, I saw a video yesterday, I think, where a lady was talking about, I think her child's been on it for like a day or had been on it for like a day, and they already saw significant differences. Their child never spoke, and he did 24 hours after getting Leucovorin. Apparently he knew how to speak. He just never did it publicly or in front of people. I don't know, but he spoke. It tripped her out. She was, what? So making huge differences. Check it out.
Leucovorin is a generic drug derived from folic acid and currently approved for easing the side effects of chemotherapy in some patients. But after President Trump and HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced a push to approve the drug for cerebral folate deficiency, that's a condition that often co-occurs with the autism spectrum disorder, that led the way for many new patients to seek out the medication. Joining us right now is an author of one study of Leucovorin conducted almost a decade ago Dr. Richard Fry is a pediatric neurologist studying treatments for kids with autism. He founded Neurodevelopmental Precision Medicine. That's a clinic that specializes in treating children with autism. He's also chief scientific officer at the Autism Discovery and Treatment Foundation and the director of research at the Rossignol Medical Center. And Dr. Fry, I wanted to talk to you about this because you've been working with this for a long time. I think 2013 was when you first started noticing that leucovorin could help some children with autism. Can you describe how it works and who it might work on?
Sure. It was actually before that. That's when we published our first study. That was an open label study. We had noticed that many of the children that we were seeing with autism had cerebral folate deficiency, and treating them, we found that they had remarkable improvements. Now, the problem here is that everything that goes into the brain needs to be transported in there by special proteins. And we find that there's an autoantibody in the blood. Your immune system, or some people's immune system, makes an antibody against this transporter, so it doesn't work and does not get into the brain. So it ends up leucovorin can go through a back door called a reduced folate carrier. It's not as efficient as in the primary one, but we have to use high doses of this special folate that can then get into the brain and restore function. In our first study, we found that children remarkably increased in their language, and that was an open label study. So we followed up with the first double-blind placebo-controlled study, where we showed that actually under rigorous controlled conditions, that we also saw the same effect. And now there's been 4 other studies around the world that have confirmed our findings. So we're really happy that this is something that's been recognized and will be used in children with autism perhaps in the future when we have more studies and more guidance.
Autism is not what it's being prescribed for. The FDA approved it for cerebral folate deficiency. As you mentioned, a lot of the kids that you studied had this. But how do you tell if your child with autism has CFD? Is there a way to do it besides having a spinal tap?
Well, for what we call definite CFD, you would need a spinal tap. But what we found that there is this, what we call a biomarker. We can measure this this antibody in the blood, and we know that it correlates with levels of folate in the cerebral spinal fluid. And we've also done studies that show that if you use this biomarker, you can predict who is going to respond the best. So our research allows us to actually do blood tests that can predict those that will benefit from this drug.
So that's, again, a huge help, because now you don't have to do a spinal tap to find out, which is, that's a lot to ask a kid to go through, especially probably one that's autistic, I would assume, right? They're kind of already a little difficult to deal with, right? And again, it was funny as I was watching the movie The Accountant. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Ben Affleck does actually a marvelous job playing a dude, I think, with autism. But yeah, he's badass. It's a great movie. If you've never seen it, there's 2 of them, but it's fantastic. The Pentagon plans widespread random polygraphs and non-disclosure agreements to staunch leaks. This is going to be happening. There's a whole bunch of people that are going to get stuck having to sign this non-disclosure about releasing any information that's not deemed for public, and then just random polygraphs. And so they're going to make everyone sign this, so there's no questions, there's no doubts, nobody can sue afterwards. This has also been in the thing they signed when they started the job anyway. So this is just reinforcing that, making sure that they're aware, they know, and if they break the rules, they're going to be in huge trouble, and they'll be up for a polygraph. Now, some people can get through a polygraph. Most can't. I mean, it's like probably less than 1% of people are capable. You literally kind of have to train yourself to do it. It's not impossible by any stretch, but it is. It's not something that just a random person can do. Tens of thousands protest public spending cuts across France. France is in a world of hurt right now. A lot of people are pissed. Just me, or does it feel like they've been pissed for about 4 or 5 years? I don't know. Leave it to the French to just be pissed, start problems, but never accomplish anything. But I mean, again, we've done similar things. Iran says no limits on missile program after Europe demands it curb its reach. They don't want Iran to make their missiles more efficient, more capable of reaching further and further. That's kind of a silly thing to do. Apparently, Iran is definitely sparking up its missile development facility that Israel destroyed. They're rebuilding it. Supposedly there's nothing there for fueling them, but we also understand that a lot of the fueling that used to occur was happening at a facility in like Yemen or something like that. Like they would ship the missiles without fuel, and then they'd fuel them once they got them kind of out to the front lines. Now, you want to test them, obviously. They don't seem to have a lot of fuel, but they could very well have gotten some from China and others. So the fact that they don't have fuel-producing facilities, they just can't do it on large scale, but they could still import it. So questions about all that, but yeah, obviously Iran's not done trying. Boeing gets the contract to replace the bunker buster bombs that were dropped on Iran. They're saying only $123 million to replace. I want to say they were extraordinarily more expensive than that. I feel like it cost something like $2 billion to drop them initially, and that I think a lot of that's the R&D that it got to get them where they were. I mean, this is a program that's taken, I think, something like 15 years, and they've made numerous improvements along the way. So Boeing is going to be replacing those weapons. That's cool. We need them. Probably going to get used again or get used on China. And I'm sure these are going to be the new, more advanced ones anyway, right? So that's going to be kind of significant in and of itself. And we certainly don't know what those improvements are. But my guess would be they'll go even deeper and through even harder substances. We'll see, because again, the concrete technology's changed. It's actually fascinating. I did a kind of a decently long thing on it at one point, but it's good stuff. Trump inks Article 5 style defense deal with Qatar after an apology over Israel's Doha bombing. So they kind of got a security agreement. This is probably why we've got a bunch of refuelers out there. Likely, we might have some more incoming jets that are going to be stationed in Qatar. We'll see how that works. I don't know what Qatar. Whatever. I've looked it up before, and I feel like it can be said either way. But yes, they're going to be, I think, working this agreement. This is a big part of why Israel had to basically say, "Whoops, sorry, we didn't mean to bomb you, Doha." And now we've got troops and planes, refuelers at least, the KC-135. We've got a few of those, less than a dozen, around a dozen, sitting at the airports. So if something's going on, I still think we're looking at possibly escalations in the area or getting ready for something. Kremlin's highly doubtful Trump is actually going to authorize the Tomahawks for Ukraine. I think Trump just said that just to, one, kind of sort of dig at Putin, and two, just to get Ukraine all excited so they can chat. We're going to get Tomahawks. As soon as we get them, we're going to launch them at you, mofo. And it kind of just once again demonstrates that Zelensky, I should say, has no intentions of ever stopping this war. Tomahawk missiles would definitely escalate the war. It would cause Russia to have to do significantly more crazy stuff to be able to do that. So, that's not going to happen, most likely. But we'll see. Putin says Russia offered condolences to Charlie Kirk's family and praises his legacy following his assassination. And I wished him well. It was actually pretty beautiful, I thought, of Putin to do that. Very beautiful, in fact. So again, everyone talks a lot of talk about this guy, but I actually think he's a good dude. I do. I mean, he cares about his country. He doesn't give a shit about anyone else outside of his country, which is how it should be. Trump doesn't give a shit about anyone outside of our country, like he should, right? Same thing, but they get along, and that's what's important, right? We need to be friends with Russia. That's all I can say. We need to be friends with China too. We need to figure out how to make that happen at some point. But Putin responds to this paper tiger comment that Trump made. It really got under his skin. Said Russian leader gives detailed breakdown of forces advancing across the front lines. He says, we confidently hold strategic initiative. If we are the paper tiger, then what is NATO? And I mean, cheers. And NATO really is a fraction of what it once was, especially now that we're not going to continue to just dump gobs of money into Ukraine. NATO doesn't have anything. They don't have any money to throw at this. It was 100% coming from us, or 90% coming from us. NATO wasn't doing shit. Still aren't. So, it is what it is. Russia President Putin says he wants to restore full relations with President Trump and the United States. Folks, we're getting close to a deal. And we are going to be closer to the Russian country. It's going to be fabulous when we get there. Healthier school lunch movement is gaining momentum nationwide. This is cool. A number of states are actually starting to consider bringing this on. Arizona, California, Louisiana, Utah, and Virginia passed laws removing unhealthy products, overly processed foods. That's a huge step. This mysterious interstellar object speeding through our solar system, 3i Atlas, the UFO, I guess, who knows, I'm trying to open my mind to this. Everyone's saying it is. I don't feel like it is, but it is making us talk about stuff. So again, I'll talk more about it one day. I'm trying to see if I can get close to an hour on this one. It went longer than I wanted still, because I can't shut up. Here I am doing it. Whatever. Yeah, they see that it's actually kicking out some iron now in its tail. And so they're, ratios of nickel and iron. So this interstellar object, and for a comet, this is strange, just because normally comets are more gaseous, waterish gas, like CO2 and stuff like that, like the ones formed in the Oort cloud, which is just outside of our solar system. It's where they figure most comets come from. Doesn't mean this one didn't either. But again, and this one could have a periodic orbit with our planet, and it's just, it goes way the hell out into space and then comes back. That's entirely possible too. Whatever the case is, this thing is now emitting additional chemicals out its butthole or its thruster. It's supposed to pass, I think tomorrow, the 3rd, I believe it's supposed to pass the closest to Mars, or it hits its perihelion, I should say. I want to say it's supposed to be really, really close to Mars any one of these days now. So again, we'll see if anything happens. If it hit Mars, that would be crazy. But it was supposed to come in within 0.19 AU, which is astronomical unit, which is how far the sun is from us. So basically a fifth of the distance from the sun, like from us from the sun. So it's still not that close to Mars. Whatever. Everyone's talking about it, and it could be, who knows, could be some UFO coming. They're just breaking off little pieces that are supposedly going to come tomorrow. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff being said. I just does not feel like, to me, it doesn't feel like that's true. It doesn't feel like this is how the disclosure would happen. What it is accomplishing is a bunch of people are talking about something, and where I find it most interesting is Cliff High was really the one that kind of started this. Cliff High said the data had this thing that was going to come into our solar system, and everyone would be talking about it, and it would bring all this attention to, like UFOs and stuff, all this emotional attention. But he's the one that actually talked about it kind of first. I mean, obviously the astronomer from Harvard, too. But it's sort of a weird self-fulfilling prophecy in a weird way. And so a lot of people are now channeling stuff about it or remote viewing stuff about it. And they're picking up a lot of things, in my opinion, that are what people believe it is. And I think that's what a lot of what the remote viewers are getting is the belief. I don't think they're actually getting what it is. I think they're getting what people believe it is. And so this thing's kind of taken on a life of its own. That's my take. Who knows? I could be totally wrong, right? But I don't know if we'd ever know, frankly, unless this thing literally just does a U-turn and then parks right outside of our planet, and we just sit there and stare at this glowing ball. I was wrong, I'll fall on the sword happily. But I don't think it's quite like people are saying. I just don't think that's how the disclosure would happen. It's not that I want it to. I just think it's being taken advantage of. I think they're trying to kind of Project Bluebeam, get us ready. I think there's a lot of stuff like that that's playing out in this. And then people just tend to glom on to any theory that's fun. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, all the stuff with Charlie Kirk, there's still people talking about how Charlie Kirk's not even dead. And again, whether he is, whether he isn't, whether he was killed, whether it was a double, whether someone killed but not quite the way we thought. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But I'll tell you, that was a while back. I love Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to remember him fondly, and I'm always going to send prayers to his family, and I'm going to honor his life. But that's I can't stay back there. You know what I mean? We got to keep moving forward. So I feel like there's a lot of people that are kind of just getting stuck in the vortices behind and not actually continuing to move forward in what we need to accomplish in this great nation. And debating on whether Charlie is alive or dead, to me, okay, so what if he's alive? What does that do? What does that change? What do we know now? What matters? What if he's dead? What does that change? Who knows? How does it matter? Because it doesn't. And frankly, if he's still alive and then just not hanging out with his wife and his kids, that's a lot to ask somebody to do. Well, you can't hang out with your family for a while. Okay, that's cool. If it's for the country. So I don't know. And again, I don't care if I'm wrong. I haven't decided I haven't made up my mind about it by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't think I can be wrong with Charlie Kirk. Maybe with the comet, I could be, but we'll find out. But the Charlie Kirk thing just seems weird. How we're like, why? Okay, it's kind of like flat Earth to me. If it's round, if it's flat, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. Oh, but it proves they lied. Of course they lie. You need proof? Seriously, do you need proof that they lie? Man, you're like so far from being awoken. Otherwise, yeah, they lie all over the damn place. I can't believe anything anyone says. I just think we got to kind of keep looking forward, keep your eye on the prize, and a lot of weird swirly shit's happening all around us, for sure. Whether it's true or not, it kind of doesn't matter. Don't get lost in the weeds. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of cool shit in the weeds, for sure. But that ain't where you're going to find paradise. Not even close. All right. I didn't. Hour 5. It's probably one. Close. I was so tempted. I thought I was going to make an hour. Damn it. I wanted to so badly. But all said. A lot of things are happening in the world, folks. We know it. You know it. Let's keep moving forward towards taking back our elections, taking back our security. By the way, just getting back to the crazy stuff in the space. You know, our Earth, we hadn't had a solar shot or a flare release or a coronal mass ejection, right? We haven't even had a solar wind, like a coronal hole, face us. We had a level 3 solar storm that happened for no reason. Our magnetic field on this planet is hugely weakening. We literally had a solar storm for no reason, which meant if something shot a coronal mass ejection at us during that moment, we'd get fucked. So, yeah, there's problems going on right now around us. And so changes are coming. I mean, maybe the 3-eye atlas thing is going to help balance that out. I pray to God there's actually something that's going to do that. I really do. But I think where most of that's supposed to come from is us controlling our emotions. Anytime anybody puts the onus outside of themselves, you don't get it. We're not going to transfer into the next space unless we master ourselves as best we can. That's the answer's inside each one of us. That's where the solution is, not outside of yourself. Anyone that's expecting something outside of themselves to fix this problem, that can't be right. That's all I can say. I don't think that's right. The answer lies within. As within, so without. We need to change what's going on inside ourselves. We have so much commotion, so much dislike, so much hatred inside of us. We're not ready for advancement into the galactic world. I look forward to the day we are. I really miss some of my brothers and sisters out there. We'll get there, and probably not too far away. I'm just doubtful it's this second. I think we got a lot of things that we've got to deal with. And once we get that dealt with, and once we can kind of calm everybody down, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of things start to happen. A lot of information is going to start to get disclosed. And we're already learning about the health stuff and the lies. So again, a lot is happening. I think people are maybe trying to rush certain avenues because that's what they're really fixated on, right? We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I love you guys. Doing the best we can with this one. We're going to get through it. I'm going to, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to admit it. But for the most part, I'm going to try to just stay as even keel as I can. I'm not quick to jump on any one bandwagon, but I'll tell you, there's bandwagons I've hopped into, for sure. I'll do my best to help you guys. And if you guys disagree with me, that's cool. We're at least having discussions about it. That's also important. Most important thing is that we stay together. And for the most part, I don't think we can do anything but do that. Because where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.